Hey everyone, pull up a seat. This story's about to take you through every emotion in the book. If you've ever had family twist love into something that hurts more than helps, hit that like button right now and subscribe so you don't miss how this one ends. Drop your city and what time it is where you're watching in the comments. I love seeing you guys from all over. I'm Ophelia Bennett, 32, ICU nurse in a quiet pocket of Ohio. This is the night one Christmas Eve dinner with 37 relatives turned into the moment I finally stopped carrying everyone else's lies. Snow fell thick and slow outside Aunt Lydia Harper's big, white colonial on Maple Lane in Willow Creek, tiny town, barely 6,000 souls. The kind of place where your mailman knows your middle name and your credit score. Christmas lights twinkled on every porch. The air smelled like fresh pine, cinnamon, and wood smoke. Inside, tables stretched wall-to-wall through the living room and dining room, folding chairs squeezed in, kids' table already covered in spilled Sprite and cookie crumbs. Laughter rolled through the rooms, glasses clinked. Someone had Bing Crosby crooning low on the speaker. It looked like every holiday card you've ever seen. It felt like walking into an ambush you'd seen coming for months. My father, Victor Bennett, stood at the head of the longest table like he was about to deliver a sermon. 63, retired steel plant supervisor, charcoal sweater pressed sharp, sleeves rolled once, the way he always did when he wanted to look in control. My mother, Marlene Bennett, sat right beside him in her deep emerald dress, the one she pulled out when she needed to look both elegant and fragile. Her hands stayed folded tight in her lap, eyes already shimmering like she was warming up for the performance. They'd been setting the stage since summer. Little digs at 4th of July cookouts. Texts from cousins. Ophelia, you alright? Uncle Vic said something weird. Marlene's Facebook posts about family needing to heal and truth coming to light. I knew the explosion was coming. I'd known since that sticky August night when a bank alert lit up my phone and showed me numbers that belonged to someone else's life. Rewind first. 8 months earlier, my grandmother Eleanor Ellie Whitaker passed in her sleep. 82, heart finally quiet after years of struggling. I drove 4 hours from my Columbus apartment through flat cornfields under heavy gray skies to the funeral home in Willow Creek. The parking lot overflowed. Half the town came because Ellie was everyone's grandma. She taught free piano lessons to any kid who showed up, left soup on doorsteps when someone was sick, slipped butterscotch candies into my pocket, and called me Sunny because she said my smile could melt January. As a little girl, I'd sit on her piano bench, banging keys while she played real songs underneath. She'd whisper, "You're going to save lives one day, Sunny girl." But the last 4 years? Silence. Calls unanswered. Birthday cards I sent came back unopened. Texts marked read, no reply. I told myself it was age, confusion, maybe resentment I couldn't remember earning. At the funeral, Victor gave the eulogy. Voice thick, pauses perfect. Mom trusted me to handle everything, he said. She knew I'd take care of the family. No one pushed back. Why would they? He was her only son. Afterward, in the church basement over weak coffee and funeral potatoes, Victor pulled me, my brother Ethan, and a couple cousins into the hallway. The house, the savings, the cabin on Lake Mercer. All comes to me, he said, calm as if reading a grocery list. That's what she wanted. Ethan looked at the floor. Something cold twisted in my chest, like when a patient's monitor flatlines and you know the code is about to start. 10 years before, I was 22, just out of nursing school, drowning in loans, working nights at the city hospital. Victor called one rainy Sunday. Sunny, we need your name on the mortgage for a bit. Bank wants a cosigner, 6 months tops, then we refinance, and you're off. Marlene on speaker, voice cracking. We could lose the house your grandma fought to keep, honey.
So I signed.
6 months stretched to 10 years. Late payments I never knew about tanked my credit. 3 a.m. alerts showing 90-day lates. Every time I asked, money's tight. You want us homeless? Tears on cue. That one signature blocked me from buying a home, jacked my car loans to brutal rates, kept my credit bouncing in the 600s while Victor drove a new truck and added a sunroom. Then Ellie died. 2 months later, I logged into the old mortgage account, still had access from when Victor needed me to keep an eye on statements. There it was, $55,000 home equity line pulled out 6 weeks before she passed. No consent. No mention. Just gone. My name still chained to every dollar. I sat in my car after a 12-hour night shift, rain pounding the roof, staring at glowing numbers that screamed betrayal. He hadn't just trapped me for a decade. He'd come back and made the trap permanent. The whispers didn't explode. They crept in like fog off Lake Mercer on a cold morning. First a text from cousin Harper Jennings. "Ophelia, everything good? Uncle Vic mentioned you might have taken some cash from Gran's safe drawer before she passed. Just checking in." I read it 3 times in the hospital break room, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, coffee gone cold in my hand. I typed back, "Never touched a dime. That's not me." No reply. In Willow Creek, denial just sounds like guilt when it comes from the ungrateful daughter. Church got colder too. First Presbyterian, where Ellie used to play organ every Sunday for 40 years. Mrs. Donnelly, the same clerk who'd printed the probate file, gave me a polite nod and then turned to talk to someone else. Marlene stood by the Fellowship Hall coffee urn, dabbing her eyes with a tissue while murmuring to the ladies' circle. I caught pieces. Heartbroken, tried so hard some people just don't appreciate. I stopped attending after that. The building that once felt like family now felt like a stage set for someone else's story. I went quiet instead. Methodical. The way I chart a patient's decline. Observe, document, intervene when the numbers demand it. I started with public records. County courthouse in the next town over, a squat brick building that smelled like old paper and coffee. I walked in on my day off, still in navy scrubs, hair pulled back, badge clipped to my pocket. The clerk didn't blink. Relation to Eleanor Whitaker? Granddaughter. Probate files are public. She handed me the folder, without a second glance. The will Victor filed was clean, typed, notarized 14 months before Ellie died. All real and personal property to my son, Victor Bennett. Signature. Eleanor Whitaker. I'd grown up watching that handwriting, cursive, so elegant it looked like sheet music. The E had a graceful loop that started high and swept down. The R in Whitaker always had a tiny flourish at the end. This signature? Stiff. Upright. The loop's too small, the flourish missing. Like a careful copy made by someone who'd only glanced at the real thing a few times. I photographed every page with steady hands. No tears. Just certainty settling in my bones like the first frost. Next came the money. Ellie's account showed $320,000 in savings at death. House appraised at $240,000. Lake cabin where we used to fish every summer, another $110,000. Total estate value, roughly $670,000. Victor had drained $480,000 in the months after probate. I mapped it in a notebook in my car. $140,000 to clear his credit card debt. $95,000 paid off a new boat loan. $90,000 transferred to Marlene's separate account. $55,000 for home improvements. $80,000 in cash withdrawals vanished. I sat there under a streetlight, engine off, breath fogging the windshield. This wasn't desperation. This was calculation. Years of it. That night I dug out Ellie's old address book from the box I'd taken after the funeral. Flipped to the W section. Aunt Beatrice B. Whitaker, Ellie's younger sister, 76, living alone in a small brick house in Dayton, about an hour away. She hadn't been to a family gathering in 9 years. Some old rift with Victor everyone pretended not to remember. I called on a Tuesday evening, heart thudding against my ribs. She answered on the 3rd ring. Aunt B? It's Ophelia, Ellie's granddaughter. A long silence. Then, soft and steady. I knew you'd call someday, child. Your gran told me you would. My throat tightened so hard, I almost couldn't speak. She'd said that 3 years ago. Sat me down at my kitchen table, handed me a thick envelope and said, B, if anything happens to me and Victor tries to change things, Ophelia will come looking. Keep this safe. I pressed the phone harder to my ear. What's in the envelope? Come see me Saturday. Bring coffee. We'll talk. I hung up and stared at the ceiling of my apartment. For the first time in months, the weight on my chest felt shared. Saturday morning, I drove the hour to Dayton with 2 large coffees from the gas station and a knot in my stomach that hadn't loosened since the phone call. Aunt Bea's house was a neat red brick bungalow on a quiet street lined with bare maples. Snow dusted the porch railing like powdered sugar. She opened the door before I could knock. Small, silver-haired, wearing a soft gray cardigan and reading glasses on a chain. No hug, just a long look, like she was measuring something in my face. Then she stepped aside. "Coffee smells good," she said. "Come in out of the cold." Her kitchen was warm, smelled of cinnamon toast and old books. We sat at a small oak table with a lace cloth. She took the envelope from a drawer, thick, yellowed at the edges, sealed with tape that had gone brittle. She slid it across to me without a word. Inside, a handwritten will in Ellie's unmistakable cursive, dated 6 years before her death, witnessed by 2 neighbors whose signatures I recognized from old church directories. The words were simple, clear. "I leave all my real and personal property, house, savings, cabin on Lake Mercer, to be divided equally among my 4 grandchildren, Ophelia Bennett, Ethan Bennett, Harper Jennings, and Riley Whitaker." No mention of Victor. Not one word. I read it twice, fingers trembling on the paper. The E in Ophelia looped just like the ones in every birthday card she'd ever sent me. "Aunt B watched me. Victor visited your gran every week those last 3 years, she said quietly. Told her you'd moved on. Said you were too busy with your fancy nursing job to bother with an old woman. Told her Ethan was the only one who still cared. Cut off her phone, so she couldn't call you. Returned your letters. She died believing you'd forgotten her." The room tilted. I pressed my palms to the table to steady myself. "He told her. I didn't want her." B nodded. "She wrote you letters anyway. Every few months. Mailed them to me because she knew he'd intercept anything going to your address. I've got them all in a shoebox upstairs. She said if you ever came looking, give them to you. And this will." I couldn't speak for a long minute. The coffee sat untouched, steam curling up like ghosts. Then B reached across and touched my wrist, light, brief. "She never stopped loving you, Ophelia. Not for a second." I left with the envelope and a promise to come back soon. Drove home with tears freezing on my cheeks, the will on the passenger seat like a bomb that hadn't detonated yet. Back in my apartment, I opened the shoebox B had given me too. 11 letters. Shaky handwriting, dated over the last 3 years of Ellie's life. The first one: "Sunny girl, your daddy says you don't want to see me anymore. I don't believe it, but if it's true, no, I'm not mad. I just miss your laugh." The last one: 2 months before she died. "I'm leaving everything to you 4 kids. If Victor does something different, find Aunt B. She's got the real paper. I love you always, Sunny. Gran." I sat on my floor until the streetlights came on, letters spread around me like fallen leaves. He hadn't just stolen money. He'd stolen time. 3 years of her voice, her stories, her love, gone because he decided I didn't deserve it. That's when I knew I wasn't going to Christmas Eve empty-handed. I started building the rest. Quietly. A forensic document examiner in Columbus, recommended by a lawyer friend from the hospital. I sent her high-res photos of the filed will signature and 17 verified samples of Ellie's handwriting, tax forms, old checks, birthday cards, even a recipe she'd handwritten for me when I was 12. 2 weeks later, the report came. The signature on the probated will is not consistent with known exemplars of Eleanor Whitaker. High probability of forgery. Next, I hired a forensic accountant who specialized in estate disputes. She traced every dollar of the $480,000, mapped it in color-coded spreadsheets, debt payoffs, boat purchase, Marlene's secret account, cash pulls. Irrefutable. Then the turning point. 3 weeks before Christmas, my brother Ethan called at 11 p.m. His voice low, rushed, like he was hiding in the garage. "Ophelia, I need to tell you something. Don't ask how I got it." "Okay." 2 months ago, I went to the house to grab my tools from the basement. Came in the back way. They didn't hear me. Mom and Dad were in the kitchen arguing. Dad said, "She can't prove a damn thing. The will's filed, it's done." Mom said, "But what if she gets a lawyer?" Dad laughed, cold, Ophelia, and said, Then we go bigger.
We make her the bad guy.
Family will believe us over her every time. My heart slammed against my ribs. You recorded it? I hit record the second I realized what they were saying.
Sent it to you now.
The audio file landed in my messages. I played it. Victor's voice, muffled through walls but unmistakable. Marlene's too. Every word landed like a punch. Why wait so long to tell me? I asked. Long silence. Because they're my parents too. I was scared. Didn't know what to do with it. I understood. Fear doesn't always look like panic. Sometimes it looks like 2 months of carrying a grenade in your pocket. Thank you, I said. That took courage. What are you going to do? I'm going to Christmas. And I'm bringing everything. The weeks before Christmas blurred into a quiet storm. I met with a probate attorney in Columbus. Harlan Reeves, mid-50s, wood-paneled office that smelled like leather and fresh coffee. I laid everything on his desk. Aunt Bea's handwritten will, the forensic signature report, the accountant's money trail spreadsheet, Ethan's audio file, copies of Ellie's intercepted letters. He read in silence for 40 minutes, turning pages slowly, occasionally making a note. When he finished, he looked up. This is textbook fraud, Ophelia. Forged will, fraudulent probate filing, misappropriation of estate assets. You have strong standing to challenge and potentially pursue criminal charges. Forgery is a felony in Ohio. The DA could pick it up if the evidence holds. I shook my head. I'm not filing anything yet. I just need to be prepared. My father's planning something at Christmas dinner. I know him. He won't let this die quietly. Harlan nodded, no judgment. He assembled a thick packet, certified copies, summaries, timelines, the audio transcript. Sealed it in a heavy manila envelope. If you need to use this, he said, it speaks louder than any speech you could give. I carried that envelope like armor. I also called Aunt B again. Would you come to Christmas at Aunt Lydia's? I know it's been years, but for Ellie. Long pause. I haven't set foot in that house since your father accused me of meddling 9 years ago. But for your gran, I'll be there. Christmas Eve arrived cold and clear. I pulled up to Aunt Lydia's at 1:30 p.m., snow crunching under tires. The driveway was jammed, trucks, SUVs, a minivan with a baby on board sign. Paper snowflakes taped to the windows, wreath on the door. Inside, the smell of ham, green beans, and sweet potato casserole hit like a wave. 37 people, cousins chasing kids, uncles arguing football, aunts rearranging platters. Conversation dipped when I walked in, not dramatic, just a subtle shift. Eyes flicked my way, then away. Everyone had heard the whispers. Aunt Lydia hugged me stiffly at the door. Good to see you, honey.
Her arms released too fast.
Victor sat at the head table, navy sweater, posture perfect. Marlene beside him in emerald velvet, hands clasped, eyes already damp. They looked like a portrait of wronged parents. Ethan sat midway down, staring at his plate. Aunt B arrived quietly through the side door, took a seat at the far end. No one greeted her. Most of the younger ones didn't even know who she was. I set my bag under my chair. The envelope pressed against my ankle like a heartbeat. Dinner started.
Prayer. Carving.
Plates passed. 20 minutes in, Victor tapped his glass with a spoon. The room quieted in ripples, adults first, then teens, then kids. Someone muted the TV in the den. Victor stood. Before we go around saying what we're thankful for, he began, voice smooth, practiced. There's something heavy on this family I need to address. My pulse climbed, but I kept my face neutral. He looked at Marlene. She dabbed her eyes on cue. Most of you have heard the rumors. Denise, sorry, Marlene, and I try to handle this privately. But our daughter left us no choice. He paused for drama. Forks stilled. A cousin's wife shifted uncomfortably. After Mom passed, we discovered a significant amount missing from her accounts. We traced it. The evidence points to one person here. He turned to me. 37 faces followed. Ophelia is a thief. And we have proof. The room held its breath. Aunt Lydia's hand flew to her mouth. Harper stared wide-eyed. Marlene's crying swelled. Perfect pitch. Perfect timing. Victor reached into his jacket, pulled out a crisp, white envelope, walked slowly around the table, past uncles, past cousins, until he stood beside me. He placed it in front of my plate. "This is a court summons," he announced loud enough for the kids' table to hear. "We're suing you for the return of Mom's money." I picked it up, opened it, looked official at first, court header, my name, signature. But no case number. No clerk stamp. Printed on plain paper. A fake. A prop meant to break me in front of witnesses. I set it down gently. Looked up at him. "Are you finished?" He crossed his arms, waiting for the meltdown he'd scripted. I stood slowly. No rush. Smoothed my napkin. Every eye locked on me. "I didn't start this," I said, voice steady. "You did." I reached under my chair, pulled out the manila envelope. Thick. Real. Placed it beside his fake summons. Victor's smile vanished like someone flipped a switch. I unsealed it. Marlene stopped crying mid-sob. I held up the first page. "This is a side-by-side forensic comparison. The signature on the will you filed versus 17 verified samples of Gran's handwriting." I passed it to Aunt Lydia. She put on her glasses. Confusion crossed her face, then shock. She handed it to the next person without a word. "A professional examiner concluded it's forged." I continued. "High probability." Victor's voice cracked. "That's fabricated. You paid for lies." "I'm not asking anyone to take my word," I said. "Just look." The page moved down the table. Faces changed, confusion to recognition to something colder. I pulled out the next document. "This is Gran's real will. Handwritten. Witnessed. Dated 6 years before she died." I read the key line aloud. "All property divided equally among my 4 grandchildren, Ophelia, Ethan, Harper, and Riley." Victor stepped back. "Where did you get that?" "That's not." Aunt B stood. Small, steady. The room turned. "Ellie gave it to me," she said. 3 years ago. Told me to keep it safe because she didn't trust her own son." Victor's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Aunt Ba's voice cut through the silence, like a bell in fog. "Ellie gave it to me because she knew her son would try to rewrite her wishes. Victor came to her house every week those last years. Told her Ophelia didn't care anymore. Said the girl was too busy saving strangers to visit family. Cut the phone lines. Returned letters. Ellie died thinking her sunny girl had walked away." The room didn't breathe. Victor's face drained white. Marlene whispered, "Oh God," but it wasn't directed at anyone. Just horror at the unraveling. I pulled the final document from the envelope. After probate, Dad withdrew $480,000 from Gran's accounts. I held up the spreadsheet so the nearest people could see the columns. I read slowly, no emotion, just facts. $140,000 to clear his credit cards, $95,000 for a boat loan, $90,000 to Mom's personal account, $55,000 for home improvements, $80,000 in cash gone. I set it down. That money belonged to 4 grandchildren, not one son. Victor gripped the back of his chair so hard his knuckles cracked. "That's my mother's money. She left it to me legally." "No," I said, calm as ice. "She left it to us. You forged the will to take it." The silence stretched. Then Ethan stood. Every head turned. My quiet brother, 28, electrician, always the one who stayed out of fights, held his phone like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "I heard them," he said, voice tight but clear. 2 months ago. I came through the back for my tools. They didn't know I was there." Dad said, "She can't prove anything. The will's filed. It's done." Mom asked, "What if she gets a lawyer?" Dad said, "Then we go louder. We make her the villain. No one will believe her over us." He tapped play. Victor's voice filled the room, muffled, real, unmistakable. Marlene's followed, word for word. The recording ended. The quiet that came after was deafening. Victor sank into his chair like his strings had been cut. Marlene stared at the table. Tears real this time. No performance. "I told you this would happen," she whispered to him. Not grief, anger. She'd known. And now everyone knew she'd known. No one ate dessert. People left in quiet waves. Distant cousins first, coats grabbed without goodbyes. Then closer ones. A few hugged me on the porch. Harper squeezed my hand, whispered. We were robbed too. All four of us. Riley just nodded, eyes wet. Within a week, Harper and Riley hired their own lawyers. They petitioned to reopen Ellie's estate based on forgery evidence and the prior will. I didn't file, I gave them the packet. They chose to act. Harlan sent Victor a certified letter, refinance the mortgage, remove my name within 60 days, or face civil suit for the unauthorized $55,000 equity pull. Victor didn't fight. He refinanced in 5 weeks. My credit started climbing the day the bank email arrived, 640 to 680 in months.
Mine.
Finally mine. The probate court reopened the case fast. Handwriting expert confirmed the forgery. Estate redistributed, roughly $95,000 each to the 4 grandchildren after fees. Not fortune money. Legacy money. Ellie's money. Victor and Marlene still live in the house. Invitations dried up. Church nods turned short. Small-town silence is its own sentence. Ethan and I meet Sundays at a diner on Route 23. Cracked vinyl booths, endless coffee. We talk about everything now. He apologized for waiting. I told him he spoke when it counted. Aunt B sends photos sometimes. Ellie holding me at 3, sparkler in my fist. I taped one to my fridge next to my nursing license. I bought a small house last spring. 2-bedroom, blue door, porch for 2 chairs. Put down Ellie's share, qualified on my own credit, $712 now. First night, I sat on the empty floor with pizza and sweet tea, hung her fishing photo above the fireplace. I didn't win a battle. I stopped being collateral. If someone uses love to control you, remember, boundaries aren't cruel. They're survival. Call your grandparents today. Don't let anyone gatekeep that love. That's my story. Thank you for staying till the end. If this hit home, if you've ever had to choose dignity over fake peace, tell me in the comments. What would you have done at that table? Like, subscribe if you want more real stories like this. See you in the next one.